Hi there, Michael here. A couple of weeks ago I published an in-depth video review of the Numono sound capsule, which is this thing here. This device is positioned as an integrated all-in-one podcast recording solution that enables podcasters to record their podcasts in spatial audio and then convert everything into Dolby Atmos through the Numono cloud service. The video had a few really interesting comments that I felt deserved talking about. In today's video, I therefore want to provide my insights on these comments. Now, this is probably going to be a shorter video, but I felt that given the topic, it makes sense to create a separate video about it. In case you have not seen my full review of the Numono sound capsule, I'll leave a link in the description below. However, this video is going to be relatively self-contained, so you should be able to follow along just fine, even if you have not seen my original video. So without further ado, let's talk Numono. Now, to give you a quick recap, the Numono sound capsule consists of a base station, which also functions as an ambisonics microphone with a total of 8 microphone capsules. The purpose of this ambisonics mic is to record the ambience in the room during a podcast interview. Additionally, the sound capsule has 4 lavalier mics. Those are wireless lavalier mics, which record speakers individually. The sound capsule then compiles all the audio information it receives, and you then upload everything to the Numono cloud, where you can do some preliminary editing. And once you are done editing, you can convert the result into a Dolby Atmos master file. What's really interesting is how the Dolby Atmos master file is constructed. It contains the original ambience as a 7.1.2 Atmos bed, and then it also contains the recording of the 4 lavalier mics as 8 Atmos objects. 4 of these objects contain the processed version of the recordings of the speakers, and the remaining 4 objects contain the ambience these lavalier mics capture. What is quite remarkable is that the Numono cloud service is able to reconstruct the position of the lavalier mics from the audio alone. So the Atmos objects in the Dolby Atmos master file contain the exact positional data of all the 4 speakers. And in our testing, we found that this actually works extremely well. So that's the Numono sound capsule in a nutshell. Once again, if you want to see the full review, link is in the description. I should also point out that neither this nor my original video have been sponsored in any way. Numono provided us with a demo unit of the sound capsule, but that has to go back and there is no condition about what I can or cannot say in my review. I recently published an ethics statement that explains how I handle sponsorships. I encourage you to check that out. Link is in the description as well. So while this is quite remarkable from a technological standpoint, one of the main issues this device has is that it is a bit in search of a target market. And this is probably best summarized by the following comment by user Apply Radio. It's a pretty cool idea, especially for someone like me who records podcasts and audio dramas binaurally. But at this price, it's probably not the best fit for an average podcaster. With a resolution of 16 bits and a signal-to-noise ratio of 68 dB, it's not intended for professional use either. First of all, I think I should have mentioned that this ambisonics mic has 8 ambisonics capsules. They are located here on the sides, so you have 2 on each side, 8 in total. And that by itself is already really remarkable. There aren't really that many ambisonics mics, kind of affordable ambisonics mics on the market that have 8 capsules. The one that comes to mind is one that I actually reviewed previously, which is the Voyager Audio Spatial mic that also has 8 microphone capsules. But it also comes in at a relatively hefty price. So this is the USB version, and the USB version in terms of quality is pretty comparable to the Numono device itself, to the ambisonics kind of microphone here. It has a slightly better signal-to-noise ratio and it does 24 bits, but it is only the microphone and it comes in at $1,000 as well. Now they do make a better version where they use better capsules, but that actually has a price tag of $3,000. So given that the Numono sound capsule costs $2,500, this is actually not that far off. So my feeling always was that yes, this is expensive, but it is sort of what you get when you want to go ambisonics. These things tend to be expensive, and unfortunately, they also tend to have rather noisy microphone capsules. There is probably a technological reason for that. If somebody knows more, I appreciate a comment in the comment section below. But most ambisonics mics have a signal-to-noise ratio that is sort of in that ballpark. So this is not really that unusual. So this is probably appealing to people in between the average podcaster and the professional podcaster. Somebody who wants to stand out, who wants to make their podcasts better than the average and wants to use spatial audio for that purpose, but doesn't really want to do a lot of technological kind of installation, wants to have an easy solution. And I do agree that that's probably a very, very niche audience. So those are probably not a lot of people who really would benefit from that device, which is unfortunate because it is technologically very interesting and really actually quite advanced. Now, in our review, we said that there would be possibilities to kind of work around the limitations. So you could, for example, use better microphones for recording and then use the Dolby Atmos master file and edit that and drop in the better recordings. But then again, you lose the ability to use it as an all-in-one, easy-to-use device. You then actually have to do some additional setup, and that kind of defeats the purpose, really. Now, when it comes to the lavalier mics, the quality is actually not that unusual. So the quality of the lavalier mics that the Nomono sound capsule contains is in line with all the other wireless lavalier mics that you have. So they are kind of pretty much in the same quality level, at least from the signal to noise ratio. I usually use my Holyland lavalier mics. Those kind of are really, really small. I like them. But they are pretty much in the same ballpark. So they are not that unusual. Obviously, if you are used to recording your podcasts with SM7Bs, that's a different story. But if you're doing podcasting with lavalier mics, I think you will be okay with the type of quality that you get out of the sound capsule lavalier mics. And then there's a second comment from Play Radio, which I found also really interesting. And Play Radio writes, I really wonder how it resolves phase issues and correlation between ambisonics and lavalier mics. I once tried to record a conversation between two people outside using a binaural recorder and two wireless lavalier mics at the same time. It did not work well together. Yes, and I think that's actually one of the reasons why I'm actually really excited about that, because they had a lot of technical issues that not a lot of people are really thinking about, and they managed to resolve that. Now, my feeling is that in order to make that really work, they probably need to have microphone capsules that are pretty much similar, probably the same. I'm not completely sure, I didn't check, but they probably need to have the same type of microphone capsules, both in the ambisonics mic and the lavalier mics, in order to make sure that they can somehow deal with all the technological issues like phase correlation and these types of things. But they somehow managed to pull that off. And once again, it really works quite well. So yes, technologically, this is an excellent thing. But once again, probably not for a lot of people. And to be perfectly honest, I think this was also the reason why they reached out to me, because they really wanted to figure out what other application scenarios are there where we can use this device. And if you guys have any idea or any thought about that, let us know in the comment section. I would really be interested in finding out what you guys think, because I personally, it's one of those things, it really excites me as a technological thing. I think there's a lot of innovation in there. Who would use that? I don't know. I see a lot of really interesting application scenarios, but nothing really stands out as a killer application. So in that sense, it's almost a little bit sad. It's a extremely cool technology in search of an extremely cool application. And I'm closing today's video with a comment from user Dom2555, and the user writes, 3K euros for this thing. Well, it is $2,500, but I'm assuming you are accounting for the value-added tax that you guys have in Europe. Yes, it is a lot of money, but that's not unusual for ambisonics mics. Once again, if you buy the higher quality version of the Voyage Audio spatial mic, that's also $3,000. And that's unfortunate the way it is. It's a lot of technology that's in there. Now, one thing that Nomono did, which I think was really, really smart, because in order to really use that, you need to subscribe to their cloud service, because the cloud service is where all the calculations happen. So the cloud service takes in the audio that comes from the Nomono device and converts it into Dolby Atmos. There are quite sophisticated algorithms running in the background that can construct the three-dimensional positional data from the audio alone. So you need to subscribe to that. And what they decided to do is that they give you a device for free. They give you a sound capsule for free if you commit to a 3-year subscription to their cloud service. And the subscription is $99 a month if you pay that monthly, and $79 a month if you pay that annually. And while that sounds a lot, this is actually not that unreasonable. If you are a podcaster that needs to subscribe to different types of services, like for example, you're subscribing to one of those services that helps you with the search engine optimization, $80 a month is not that unusual. So that is actually a kind of, I think, a smart move. Kind of with $80 a month, getting that device for free, I think that's actually attractive. So if you're a podcaster searching for something that helps you stand out, this might be something to consider. But once again, as I said in this video already before, this is a very cool device, but in search of a target market, and there are probably not a lot of people really interested in that. But if you belong to that group, I think that might actually be really attractive. Well, that's everything for today. Thank you so much for watching my video. I really appreciate it. If you found this video interesting, I encourage you to watch my full review of the Numono Sound Capsule. If you have any questions or comments, please use the comment section below. I do read all comments and try to respond to as many as I can. You can also join our free Discord server if you want to chat with other people interested in spatial and immersive audio. An invite link to that is in the description as well. I publish weekly videos about all things Dolby Atmos and immersive audio in general. If this topic interests you, don't forget to subscribe to this channel to stay updated. I would also appreciate it if you would give this video a like, obviously. At this point, I also want to give a big shout out to our awesome newest channel member, Eric Dizzy. Thank you so much for your support. It is greatly appreciated. And with that being said, I see you all in the next video.